Hello everybody and welcome to the Goldbridge Rant. It's Monday morning. We're talking about what's happened at the weekend, what we've learned about Manchester United and the big incidents there. Look, VAR is going to feature, Solskjaer's going to feature, Ed Woodward and the Glazers are going to feature because, look, just a few headlines to start off with. We know what's happened with VAR. We also know that Liverpool are more than double the points ahead of us. We've got 16, they've got 34. That's more than double the amount of points we've got. Who are we as a club, Manchester United? We're very positive this morning. We had over half of our team, actually factually going for man of the match yesterday. We obliterated Brighton. It could have been 7-1. Partizan could have been 7-0. It's not a bad situation to be in the international break, but is it a short-term fix? We are effectively a mid-table club. Is that what we are? We win one, we lose one, we draw one. Is that what we are? Or are we actually genuinely starting to see this future plan that we get rammed down our throat by the owners? Or, actually, is this a situation we should be looking at and going, are we just flip-flopping? Are we too easily pleased? Are we just happy that we're 7th, but, we're still 9 points off 4th place? Can Solskjaer ever really succeed with this ownership at the club? If your Glazers and Woodward out, why have you changed your mind because we beat Brighton and Partizan? Does that make you flip-flop? Does that make you easily pleased? We'll be talking about that. We'll also be talking about Manchester United and the positives, of course. A couple of injury issues, which I think, again, is something... I want to start on the positives. Let's start on the positives. I want to say that Manchester United's result yesterday was good. There's some things I disagree with now that I've had a little bit of time to think about it, but I think it was so important to go into the international break with some positivity. I really don't like international breaks. I was looking forward to this one for a little bit of a break. It's the last one before Christmas and get some Christmas shopping done, etc. like that. Loads of stuff planned on this channel around... I'm going to keep a lot of it secret because I think you're going to enjoy the content, but make sure you're watching every night at 8 o'clock, of course. But look, the positives were there. I enjoyed Fred's performance. I enjoyed Dan James. I think the front... Look, what I would say about Manchester United is, and this has never been in doubt, Manchester United, the front three is devastating if you are stupid in the way you approach it. And I don't know what Brighton were doing yesterday. I think there's a lot of... Every United fan opinion matters. Whether you disagree with it or not, it matters because it's a United fan having their opinion. There are some fans out there who are saying Brighton are a brilliant team and we obliterated them, we're back. And I'm like, I never knew. And go back through the previews, I was like, Brighton, but Brighton are rubbish, aren't they? Really, Brighton are rubbish. And everyone's telling me, you're going to get shocked on Sunday. They're well organised, he's a really good coach, they're a good team, they're going to come and dominate the game. And all I saw was the Brighton that I thought would get relegated at the start of the season. I'm absolutely amazed they're so high up in the league. I'm like, how are they that high in the league? What did they do against us yesterday? And maybe a lot of it was the way we... Well, actually, let's be positive. It was all... We dominated them. From start to finish, we were the better team. They were petulant. They got loads and loads of yellow cards in the game. They weren't very good. They weren't very good. But the biggest thing Brighton did was play into our plan A. We don't have a plan B. Our plan A, from opening game of the season to now, is if you come at us and leave space behind, we will exploit you. And Martial, Rashford and James will hurt any defence. Probably, I think Liverpool can deal with them because they've got a world-class centre-back and they've got a really good back four. But most teams in that Premier League and hopefully in the Europa League are going to struggle with that front three if they've got space. If Rashford and Dan James have got the ball at their feet, running at a back four, any defender's going to be in trouble. And Martial is just a sensational to have back. So Brighton come to Old Trafford yesterday, play high up the pitch, a high press, leave loads of space in behind. We beat their press and we get at their back four. And that's why it could have been a ridiculous score. I mean, I know Leicester beat Southampton 9-0 the other day. We could have beaten them 7-8-0 yesterday. 8-1, let's give them the goal. So I thought tactically, Brighton, thank you. Can we play you every week? Because you played into our plan A. Manchester United and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer this season, we want to soak pressure up and hit a team that on the break that comes at us. And Brighton came to Old Trafford and came at us. I think they thought we were crap. I think Brighton thought, United are rubbish, they're there for the taking, let's go and win. Fair play, but we're not rubbish. Our plan A is good. We've beaten Chelsea. We nearly beat Liverpool. We're the only team to take points off Liverpool. Arsenal, Leicester, every team that's come and had a go at us, we've caused them problems. Every team that sits back up against us and tries to attack us on the break, we've had problems. So Brighton got it wrong yesterday, but maybe that's the only one they want to play. Dan James actually said, you know, when we high press, that's when we cause teams problems, and all our goals came from that, or something to those effects. That's not correct. We didn't really high press much yesterday. We did in the second half when we went 2-1, and you know, that was very impressive. But if you look at the goals, well, the second goal was a free kick, so that wasn't a high press. The first goal, I remember it coming to Martial, but I don't think it was a high press. And the third goal was a long brilliant pass from Fred, so that wasn't a high press. The reality is, our goals came from hurting them on the break when they didn't have many people at the back. And United are brilliant at that. And I think, you know, anybody who still worries about Ollie, everybody who doesn't like Woodward and the Glazers, myself included, we're not totally rubbish, United. Our plan A is good. Our plan A is good. If a team attacks us and we can hurt them on the break, our plan A is very good, because those three lads up front are exciting, they are fast, and they are skillful. So that works for United. The trouble is, do we have a plan B? That's the problem. The problem we've also got going into this international break is injuries. Marcus Rojo, I've always called him the Argentinian Phil Jones, not because he wears pink boots and not because he's reckless, although he is a little bit sometimes. He's always injured. And he's just pulled out the Argentinian squad. He didn't even play yesterday. He didn't play yesterday, and he's pulling out the Argentinian squad with what we believe is a muscle injury. Yet another muscle injury. Scott McTominay could be out for 2 to 8 weeks, Ollie said. Ollie said, look, McTominay doesn't go down, and he hasn't rolled about, which means it's a bad injury. And it looked like a bad injury. Hopefully, he's just twisted his ankle, he's back in a couple of weeks. Worst case scenario, he's not back till New Year. What then? Pogba isn't really back ready yet. But the thing is, even if Pogba comes back, we're going to have to play Pogba next to Fred. And we've still then got the problem with the number 10. And I thought Pereira yesterday wasn't that good. And I think Lingard, Jesse Lingard's one of the biggest problems at United. He is a massive influence in the dressing room because he's a big personality. But he's got no influence on the pitch, even when he comes on as a bench. And Mata is a bit part player because of his age. So the number 10 position is a huge problem. And I was hoping Martial, McTominay and Fred, and Pogba comes back in and we play him in that sort of advanced position. Well, if McTominay's got this long-term injury, when Pogba comes back, he's going in next to Fred. And we're not getting the best out of Pogba, are we there? So it's disappointing. I know McTominay hurt his ankle against Partizan. But he rolled his ankle on Sunday. So look, I could say, I could be negative and go, oh, this is because we played him against Partizan. He injured his ankle and now he's rolled it over. He's injured the weak ankle. It may have been the different ankle. I don't know. But the reality is, I think it was a little bit unfortunate the way he got injured. And also, McTominay's had to play a lot of games. We know that. I think that was McTominay's 5th game in 10 days or something like that. So, you know, you run the risk of injuries. But that's 2 things really for United. One, we pick way too many injuries up. And I don't think you can necessarily blame Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for that because he's only been in the club since, December. We've been picking up injuries like this for 6 years. We were picking them up even when Sir Alex Ferguson was here. We've got a major issue at Manchester United Football Club in relation to injuries. And I think it's a culmination. It's not just one thing. People say sack the fitness coach. People say, we need better facilities. I think it comes down to recruitment. And I've said this before. Look at Liverpool. They hardly ever get any injuries. They've got this Moneyball system, if you've never seen the film, where basically you super analyse every player you're going to sign. And yeah, they're going to get injuries because it's a physical game. But the reality is, they didn't go for Fekir because the injury he had, the knee operation he had, there was some element of risk that in the future he could collapse down with an injury because of the injury he had on his knee. So they walked away from it. And has Fekir had that bad injury yet? No. So, maybe Liverpool could have got away with that risk, but they didn't take it. Look at United. Eric Bailly has been injured consistently since we got him. The season before we bought him, injured 3 times with 3 different injuries, and we still bought him. Diogo Dalot, injured when we bought him. It's also about recruitment as well, and United need to sort this out. And talking about recruitment, every single week of this season we're going to be saying this. Not buying midfielders cost us loads this season. I think we've got the makings of a half-decent side. I think we potentially could grow into a decent side. I'm clinging on to that hope like everybody else is. But you're going to struggle when the middle of your team is inadequate. And Fred and McTominay have been brilliant recently, and they're growing into the role. But even the growing into the role has cost us points because we've just not had the strength in depth. Pogba's injury has exposed us. Fred and McTominay are the only 2 midfielders we've got that have shown any form. The number 10s have been very, very poor. we've got no depth. We've got no quality in that midfield beyond Fred and McTominay and Pogba when he's fit. It's just not good enough. And that's going to cost us. So if McTominay's injured, all the good work, we could go into the Sheffield United game with Fred, Matic and Pereira. It's just not good enough. It isn't good enough. And United will it was going to cost them big time. But look, we've got to look positively. Where do we stand as a club, I think, is the big question mark going into this international break. We got the positivity we needed. We lost to Bournemouth last week. That wasn't acceptable. We've on this mini international break from the last one, we've drawn with Liverpool, we beat Norwich, we lost to Bournemouth, and we've beaten Brighton. So we've taken 7 points from 12, which is mid-table form. And I think Manchester United are a mid-table club. We're 7th at the moment, but we're only 3 points away from 14th. We're 9 points off 4th. So, you know, we're closer to a mid-table club than we are a top 6 club at the moment. So that's where we are. But it's a very congested Premier League. And I think United, I've got a feeling that Sheffield United, if we can get a decent team out, we might win that. And you'd expect to beat Villa at home. So those 6 points over the next 2 games could be really big for United's season. I don't think we're going to get top 4. I think Premier League is about respectability. I think it's about getting as close to the top 6 as we can do. Maybe getting 6th. I don't think we're going to get top 4. But if we can grow, I think the Europa League is possible. I think the Carabao Cup is possible. And I think that's where my focus as a fan is starting to look at the moment around United. But what I would say is, and it is the Goldbridge rant, and I'm not ranting that much, it's just called the Goldbridge rant on a Monday because it's a rant because of the weekend. And I want to talk about VAR. But I also want to say, as Manchester United fans, why do you feel any different today than you did last Wednesday when you're all moaning about sell the club to the Saudis, get the Glazers out, Woodward's inept, what's going on at the football club? And this is why they are very comfortable where they are. Because you get a couple of good results at home against teams you should be beating, and everyone forgets how badly we were run as a club. You know, the owners of Manchester United, they're vampires. They've been sucking the blood out of Manchester United for over a decade. And people just get a little result and they go, oh, everything's fine. Ed Woodward has made incompetent decision after incompetent decision. But we beat Brighton and everyone's like, oh, it's all right. We're going back where we need to be. Whatever the situation is, and I agree, Solskjaer, I've said this for a long time. People keep saying, just be Ollie out, just be Ollie out. I've moaned like everybody's moaned about Solskjaer because he deserves it. But I've never said the words Ollie out. I've just been very critical of the bad decisions he's made. But I've always said the story is not over with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I feel it would be way too early to sack him. I think he was never going to get sacked before Christmas, I don't think. And that's not going to happen. I think he's here till the summer at least. I think he'll be here next year. But what is a problem at United that isn't changed by results? Because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is results driven. You can get yourself sacked, and no matter how much the fans want you to succeed, you can get yourself sacked on results. The board, Woodward, and the way this club is run, and the fitness problems and the lack of midfielders, that's nothing to do with results. It impacts on results, but this is something that's been going on at the club for a very, very long time. And this will dictate where we go as a club forward from here. So, look, I've not changed my opinion on that. I think there is an ineptitude at Manchester United that is disgusting. And I think that also fans are just very fickle, and a result will change their focus. And I wanted to bring that up today because it's like, my opinion's not changed on Manchester United because we've won 2 games. I still think Ollie is a puppet to people that are just not good for our club. They're vampires. They suck the blood out of this football club. We are, factually, on this international break, 18 points behind Liverpool. We are 9 points behind top 4. Why are we off that position? It's not just bad coaching, it's not just bad luck, it's bad running of the club. We had a £60 million net spend in the summer and we're meant to be rebuilding the football club. We've got no midfield. We've got injury crisis. You know, it all comes down to the way the club is run. And I'll tell you what, if you think this season 6th place and a Europa League is successful when Liverpool are holding up a Premier League title, that should never happen. On nobody's watch should that happen. And that I won't celebrate that. In May, if we win the Europa League and we come 6th in the league, yeah, from the position we're in now, we've turned it around okay. But does our fan base not understand the enormity of how bad it will be to watch Liverpool win a league title? on our watch. It's not acceptable. And it's not really on our watch as fans, because we love the club, win, lose or draw. We're always going to be United fans. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the jury's out. Let's wait and see what happens with that. Some of these players, let's see if they turn into good players. But the bigger picture is Manchester United have allowed Liverpool and Man City to dominate this English game over the last few years. Ole wasn't here a year ago. Some of these players weren't here a year ago. We were here. We know the story. And the story is Manchester United over the last 6 years have gone from title winners to banter club because of the ownership. Not because of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because of the ownership. And that is something that irritates me, and I will not stop being irritated by that. And it baffles me why some United fans can't compartmentalise Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the players, and where we are as a football club because of the ownership. The ownership is a disgrace. I want it to change. I want Woodward out. I can't make that any more clearer. And these people, they can moan about, oh, fans won't give us a chance. You won't even integrate with fans. You do stupid interviews with people who are, you know, your mates. You won't speak to fans because you know you'll get exploited. You know you'll get exposed. You won't speak to fans. You won't interact with fans. You just mug fans off for the money that you want and then act like you know better. You don't know better. We're a mid-table club because of you. That's the fact. Let's move on to VAR. So, VAR this weekend. Look, my issue with VAR, and this is where my real rant's going to be. My issue with VAR is that I never wanted VAR. I wanted football to be left how it was. I understood football as a fan. I understood referees got it wrong. I understood that linesmen got it wrong, and I was happy with that because over a season you might get 1 or 2 that hurt you, but you get 1 or 2 that favour you. It wasn't broken. It didn't need fixing. But FIFA and UEFA and the Premier League can't help sticking their nose in the bee's nest. And they've been stung. They've been absolutely stung because VAR, I thought VAR would take away debate. It's created more confusion than anything. And look, technically, apparently the handball by Trent Alexander-Arnold yesterday technically shouldn't have been a penalty because some rule about if you handball it and it get something about if there's been a foul or handball before it by the opposition, it shouldn't, you know, there shouldn't be an advantage. Anyway, look, the reality is the rules are screwed up for a start, and they are inconsistent. And what I would say is, when you review a red card like they did Brandon Williams yesterday, we saw it. It's not a red card, it's a yellow card, fine. It's a red card review. They don't start looking back before Brandon Williams' foul to see if he was pushed, if there was a handball just before it. They're reviewing the red card. Is that a red card? That's the thing. When they're reviewing a goal, they're reviewing if it's offside. They're not going back to see, oh, was there a foul 5 seconds before it? They're looking to see if it's offside. When they review, did Trent Alexander-Arnold handball it? They're reviewing whether he handballed it. Why are they going back to see if Bernardo Silva or anybody else does it? Why does that rule exist? But most important of all, because it's not Liverpool's fault, remember, most important of all, why and how can you have a situation where there is an incident that is massive? Is it a penalty? Is it not a penalty? And 20 seconds later, you've still not stopped play and Liverpool go and score a goal. How can that be right? How can there be an advantage to the team that's been scrutinised for a penalty and allow that confusion? Because I think some Man City players did think it was a penalty and it's just human nature. Liverpool go up the other end and score a cracking goal. It's too long. It's a mess, and that's the thing. Whether they got the decision right about Trent Alexander-Arnold not handballing it or handballing it, whatever. But you can't disagree that the system is broken because it created so much anger and frustration. Bringing it back to Manchester United, and unfortunately it's Liverpool again. I watched Liverpool versus Leicester about 3 weeks ago. 1-1, virtually into stoppage time at Anfield. Mane's in the box, gets the slightest touch, goes down, penalty, Liverpool get 3 points, right? I said at the time, that's a penalty because there is contact. And if a defender is stupid enough to give contact, the player has the right to go down. That's a penalty. Since that incident, we've seen a different law interpreted. We saw it last week with Martial at Bournemouth. The defender tries to get the ball, clearly doesn't get the ball, touches Martial, Martial goes down. Wasn't given on VAR review because apparently if it wasn't clear and obvious or the player might have gone down too easily, it won't be given as a penalty. Despite the fact it's an illegal tackle, and I'm talking about the Mane Leicester one, it was an illegal tackle. He kicked Mane. Mane went down ridiculously easy, but he was contacted. Martial last week, he is contacted in the box. If Mane's is a penalty, Martial's is a penalty. Martial's gets reviewed, no penalty. Very next day, Everton Spurs, Son in the box, same incident, same issue. Contact on Son, goes down, doesn't touch the ball, VAR review, no penalty. Yesterday, Rashford in the box, contact, doesn't touch the ball, review, no penalty. So this is the thing. VAR, on one game it'll give a penalty, and then in the other it's not. It's ridiculous, and it's messing the game up. And you know what? People were saying, oh, you're just being bitter because Liverpool won. We will benefit, we will lose. Liverpool will benefit, Liverpool will lose. Man City will benefit, Man City will lose. The system is broken. That is the problem with VAR, and it's really, really undermining what we're trying to do in football as fans, because it's the fans' game. And people are, you know, you can't even celebrate goals properly now because you're having to wait to see if they're going to pull it, if they're going to say no. The goal yesterday with Harry Maguire, they're reviewing that for bloody ages. Why? Like, anybody can see there's nothing wrong with it. It's a bloody free kick, you know, and it is taking so much away from the game. And I think something drastically needs to be done. I really, really do. What else? McTominay, Rojo, midfield. We've spoke about where are we as a club. VAR. We've done that. I think United need a plan B. I think Man United need a plan B. That's what I'm going to leave it with. United need a plan B. As our plan A will hurt teams. If a team is stupid enough to come against us, play high up the pitch and leave space at the back, I think we'll win every game we play. If a team does what Newcastle does, sits back, doesn't allow us space in behind, has two banks of four, United, we're going to struggle. And that's what we need to do. We need to find a plan B. And I hope to God it's not Mandzukic in January. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like on the video. Get your comments in. The Goldbridge Rant. It's the Monday review. We talk about United. We talk about some of the bigger things. We have our say. Basically, happy with what things are, disgusted with VAR, and still very, very, very concerned about the ownership of Manchester United. I don't think we can succeed as a football club with this ownership and people like Ed Woodward in the club. I don't. And I've been saying that for weeks. We need a director of football and we need owners that want this club to be successful. And the reality is all they want is to take money out of the club, and that isn't going to change just because we've beaten Brighton. What it does is it allows them to spread their propaganda and positivity and subdue you lot. And I don't agree with that. Thanks for watching. Speak to you all soon.